All right. So last week, for those who were here last week, we did a little. Oh yes, thank you. So if everybody could take one moment before we start, check your phones. Please shut them off. So I know we all have our phones on us all the time, and so, they'll always ring in the middle of class, right? When everybody's trying to be kind of zen and peaceful. So, thank you, thank you, thank you. So for those who were here last week, we had a little anatomy lesson with the spine. Um, any thoughts, questions, observations since then? Anything come up? Was it helpful to have the spine in? Okay. All right. I'm working on a whole skeleton, so I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Might have to wait a while. So, but yeah. So, part of the reason why I like to bring props like that is because oftentimes when we're like say in a doctor's office or we're accompanying somebody, for a procedure or something, the information doesn't necessarily get in because we're a little bit anxious, we're a little bit nervous, maybe we don't understand something, they don't take time to explain it. So I think that seeing it in a really calm environment and seeing what things look like inside our bodies is really helpful because I've said this before and I really believe this knowledge is our superpower. When we know something, it's much less scary. Much less scary. So if I think from here to here is just unknown territory, I don't know, like, what does my spine really look like? I'm going to be maybe overly cautious in how I move, right? Because, oh, somebody said, I got to be careful of this or that. But when I can see my spine, when I can visualize it, and last week we did a lot of work with visualization on the spine as we were breathing and doing movement, that brings a whole different experience to being in your body. And that is what yoga is, you guys, right? So some people think yoga is the postures, some people think yoga is the breathing, some people think yoga is the meditation or combination of all of those things, and it is, but more importantly, yoga is understanding your body. Yoga is feeling at peace and comfortable with your body. So that's what I like to focus on here. All right. Well, let's do a little bit of breathing together. So come right up to the front edge of your chair and have your feet underneath your knees. So now I know it's cold out there this morning, so I see some folks with their socks on, some with their shoes on. That's good. And I'll just mention this, that some folks bring a towel to put down on the floor, and that can be really helpful in the winter months. So look down at your feet for a moment. Lift up all your toes, spread them out, and then place them down on the floor and see if you can just feel the connection between your feet and the floor or your block if you happen to have your toes and your feet on a block. And then sit up nice and tall. Bring your shoulders back a little bit so that your shoulders are right above your hips. Most of the time we tend to sit in this forward leaning position because we're always anticipating where we're going. And for the next hour, you're not going anywhere. So you can sit right back and stay in this moment. Now notice if your ears are really close to your shoulders, see if you can bring those shoulder tops down. And notice where your chin is. Is it lifted slightly? Is it tucked down slightly? Can you bring your chin so that it's more or less parallel to the floor? And then lengthen through all sides of your neck, the front, the sides, and the back. And think about your head just kind of lifting off your shoulders a little bit here. Let your hands be relaxed. Let your jaw be relaxed. Close your eyes. And while you're noticing all of these things in your body, your physical body, turn your attention or part of your attention to your breath. And just watch the way the air is moving in and out. Is your breathing fast or slow this morning? Is it shallow or deep? Does the air move more freely through one nostril or the other? Are you able to breathe in and out through your nose? Now, for some folks who have a little compromise in their breathing, it might be helpful to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth like you're blowing out a candle. But if you can breathe in and out through the nose, that's the that's the preferred way for the lungs to receive the air and the preferred way for the body to maintain the oxygen and carbon dioxide levels in your body. So our noses are not just for perching our glasses, our noses are really important breathing apparatus. Now begin to deepen your breath, and as you do, feel where your body moves in response to that deepening breath. And you might add a count, so we're really going to slow the breathing down. As you breathe in, see if you can slowly count to 4 on the inhalation and slowly count to 4 on the exhalation. And this may take a few rounds to accomplish that slowing of the breath. Breathing in to 4 and breathing out to 4, slowly counting. On the inhalations, can you feel your belly and waist expanding? And on the exhalations, can you feel your belly and waist contracting? Now, some people breathe in the reverse, so that when they inhale, they pull their bellies in. If you're one of those folks who breathe in the reverse, see if you can switch that so that as you inhale, your belly expands, and as you exhale, your belly contracts. Counting to 4 on the inhalations, counting to 4 on the exhalations. With every breath in and out, notice where you might be holding some tension in your body and choose to let that tension go. Might be your shoulders or your neck, could be your hands or feet. And the next time that you exhale to that count of 4, pause for a moment and then go back to your natural breath. So no more counting. You don't need to make your breathing deep. Just breathe naturally. Let your eyes gently open. Good. Great. Take your hands from your lap, and we're just going to start with some small movements. So the smallest joints here in the fingers and the thumbs, so just extending and bending the fingers. Notice how your hands are working this morning. So some people have arthritis that gets exacerbated by the cold. Some people have arthritis that gets exacerbated by the heat. So just kind of notice, are you having like a little bit more of an issue here today because of the cold? And then the next time your hands are extended, hold them there. Spread your fingers really wide. And then from here, we're going to go to a little bear claw. So it's kind of the middle ground between a fist and an extension. And then we're going to go to a fist. And then we'll go to an extension like a starfish. And then a bear claw and a fist. So we're just going to cycle through this. Starfish, bear claw, fist. Starfish, bear claw, fist. Breathing in, breathing out. Good. Couple more. Starfish, bear claw, fist. And we'll stay with the starfish. And holding here in the starfish, now we're going to take the thumbs and the last fingers and bring them together, but keep the fingers straight. Don't bend them. And then extend. So we're just going to keep tapping that last finger on each hand, breathing in and breathing out, relaxing shoulders, relaxing the jaw and the neck. Good. And then let's go to the ring finger. So the second to last finger, right? Breathing in, breathing out. And notice if this is creating tensions in your neck or your shoulders or your arms. Yeah, see if you can relax that. And then go to the second finger, right? So the middle finger. Good, and then the first finger. Okay, and then let's go to the second, and the third, and the fourth, third, second, first, second, third, fourth, third, second, first, and then extend your fingers really, really wide, and then shake out your hands. Good, so we got a little bit of blood flow going on in there. Let's take the right hand, extend it out, pull back on all the fingers. So we're just going to stretch them out. So as you're pulling back, now I notice some people have their hands way up here. Drop your hand below your shoulder. Watch that this shoulder isn't up around your ear. So drop the shoulder down away from your ear. And as you're pulling back on your fingers, pulling back on your right fingers, take your left ear to your left shoulder. Good, now keep pulling back on the fingers. Straighten that elbow. Breathe in, breathe out. And then come back to center, release that, kind of shake out your hand a little bit. Take your left hand, extend it out, pull back on the fingers. Now notice if your hand is way up above your shoulder, bring it down. Relax the shoulder top away from the ear. Take your right ear to your right shoulder. Breathe in, breathe out, and pull back really strongly on those fingers. Keeping your elbow straight, you're going to get a much better stretch up through the arm. With the elbow bent, you're isolating the stretch to the lower arm around the wrist and the hand. But we want to get those muscles way up above as well. Breathing in, breathing out. And then releasing that, shake out that hand a little bit. Good. Let's take the wrists, do some circles for the wrists. And reverse direction. So when we're doing this, we're actually working some of the muscles in the arms, and we're getting a little rotation even in the elbows. Can you all feel a little rotation in your elbows as you're doing this? Switch direction a couple of times. All right, and now let's get those elbows involved. So extend your arms down with your palms facing forward. Keep your elbows in close to your body, and we're just going to bend and tap the shoulders. So just bending and tapping the shoulders. Now as you come up, so you can make this movement without thinking about it, or you can make this movement with a lot of intention. So I want you to focus on the muscles right here in the front part of your upper arm. These are your biceps muscles. When you bend your elbow, squeeze those muscles. For some people, it's helpful to make a little fist to do that. For other people, it's just fine to do it with the palm open. So just a couple more, really focusing on those biceps muscles, nice and slow. Good. And the next time you have your hands up to your shoulders, hold here. We're going to take the elbows out to the side and lift your upper arms so that they stay parallel to the floor, but drop your shoulders away from your ears. Okay. So we're going to extend the arms, and this is going to be tricky if we haven't got the chairs just right. So if you kind of bang into the person next to you, you might want to move, unless you enjoy that, and then you can stay where you are, as long as you both agree. That's okay. So again, you can extend and bend without giving it a whole lot of thought, but next time your hand's on your shoulders, pause here, make light fists. And now imagine you've got, let's say, 5-pound weights, one in each hand, right? So with these 5-pound weights, very slowly come out. Squeeze these muscles here. Squeeze those biceps muscles as you come out, okay? And then come back in, okay? So squeeze these biceps muscles really, really tight. You got 5 pounds, and we're going to very slowly, slowly, slowly come out. This is a much firmer exercise. This is called an eccentric contraction. That means we're lengthening that muscle even as we're squeezing it, and then come back in. It's going to make you stronger, quicker. So very slowly, very, very slowly. Keep those muscles really, really strong. Don't let the muscles relax. Notice if your shoulders are doing the work. Notice if your jaw is doing the work, right? Are you trying to do this with your teeth? Yeah, if the biceps aren't strong, the teeth go, all right, we can just kind of grit this out. Okay, how about 2 more? Really, really strong biceps muscles, you guys. Really, really strong. And for the last one, you're going to have 10 pounds in each hand, right? So you got to go super, super slow. Super, super slow. Half as slow as you're going right now. Half as slow. Good. Squeeze those muscles. Keep the arms extended now, right? When they're out here, you're going to hold. You got 10 pounds in each hand. How are you feeling? Heavy, right? It's crazy, isn't it? Tighten up all the muscles in your arms, all of them, from your hands all the way to your shoulders. Squeeze as much as you can. Breathe. I see a lot of teeth, not smiles. Good. Ready? One more breath in and out. Turn your hands down, drop the weights. Relax your arms. Close your eyes. Take a moment and just feel. Now, we didn't actually have weights, but does it feel like you just lifted some weights? It's amazing, right? So let's roll the shoulders forward, up, back, and down. We can do so with our bodies without needing anything other than what we've got right here. So taking the elbows now into a little bit more of extension. We're going to bring the arm up like this. We're going to start with the right side. And most of you know this already, right? We're going to have the hand like a little swan neck, right? So notice, are you leaning to one side? Are you holding it up like this? See if you can relax that down. So this is just a really relaxed position. Don't you sit like this all the time? Yeah, this is very normal, right? So the movements we're going to do now are even more normal, right? So we're just going to go out and push like you're trying to strong arm somebody, right? So you're pushing out through the heel of your hand, and then little gooseneck coming back and extend. Swan neck. I said gooseneck? Yeah, somebody said they liked swan neck better. I do too. So we'll just call that a little swan neck. Breathing in and breathing out. So just notice what this feels like. Now do this with intention, right? So when you push out, firm up all the muscles in your arm. And when you pull back, try and pull your fingers right to your elbow, right? Different feel when you do it that way. You all breathing? That's a good thing to do. Okay, next time you come out to the side, we're going to bring the arm up overhead. Now, if you can't get your arm up overhead, go to the front or go however far you can. We're going to take that arm up as high as it'll go, bend your elbow, and place, with your thumb facing forward, you're going to place the palm of your hand on your face. Right? Like, remember holding the telephone like this? Remember telephones? Yeah, right? And then come all the way up and go all the way down. Okay, so before we continue, I want to mention two things. We're not leaning. We're not turning the head. We're keeping the body upright. This movement is coming from the arm all the way down to the hand. So bring the arm out to the side. Strong arm. Strong arm. Go all the way up. Bend your elbow. Breathe. Take the palm of your hand. Bring it right down to your face. Oops. Good. And then come all the way up. Oh, you guys got this. And all the way down. So we're stretching all kinds of things in here, you guys. So breathe in, breathe out. We're stretching muscles. We're stretching connective tissue. We're actually doing something called nerve flossing. So we're actually working the nerves in the arm. That's going to help with cold hands. It's going to help if you have like a little bit of tingling. I know, right? Shocking, but true. Good. Keep breathing. All right. Next time you come up to that strong arm, hold there. Okay, so take your thumb and your first finger and make a circle, just like that, right? So you're out there and it's kind of a weird strong arm. You're not really strong now because you're doing this little thing. So now, as you bring the arm up and bring your hand to your face, take that little circle and put it on your eye. I spy with my little eye, right? Come all the way up and down. Okay, let me just kind of go over this because I see a lot of that, right? So it's not that. It's this weird thing where the palm of your hand is on your face. And you're thinking, it should be difficult. Unless you'd sit like this all the time. Anybody do that? Yeah? Good. So this should be a piece of cake for those who do that. Let's try that one more time. Take the arm out to the side, strong arm. Thumb and first finger, right? Breathe, make sure you're not leaning. Right? You want to stay upright. Keep breathing. Arm up overhead as high as you can. So the palm is facing up, and then it gets to your face. Oh, look at all those people with their spy glasses. Now, if you have eyeglasses on, you're going to have to clean them at the end of class, I'm sure. You got it. You did, yes, you did. Now shake out that arm a little bit. Let both arms hang off your body. Close your eyes and notice if your right arm is suddenly longer than your left arm. Oh my gosh, that is weird, right? So open your eyes. So again, what we just did, all that movement, that stretched not just muscles, but that stretched the connective tissue in there. That changed what was happening to the nerves and the blood vessels in there. So we reoriented and your brain is going, wait a second, this is not how that arm always feels. This feels different. Let's make it longer. So we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Oh, yeah, did you have a, oh, you're just checking your arm. Okay, good, good, good. All right, so take, what are we doing? Left. Yes, thank you. Our little swan neck, right? So we're coming in. So you're bringing your fingers as close to your elbow as you can, squeezing these biceps muscles, not doing this, right? Okay, good. Yep, let that go down. And then strong arm, and then come back, right? So keep the arm muscles engaged as you're doing this. Slow breathing, slow movement. So when we move quickly, we're engaging more of the kinetic energy in the tissue. When we move slowly, we're demanding that the muscles actually do the work. So I prefer, if I'm going to move, I want to get the most out of that movement. I'm going to move slowly because I want to get my muscles really working here. So how about we do 2 more swan necks? Breathing in, breathing out. Excellent. Okay, next time you go into that strong arm, we're going to hold here, and then we're going to take that arm up overhead. Again, if you're limited in how high you can go, just go to the height that is comfortable for you. We're going to bend that elbow, take the palm of the hand right on the side of the face. So this side is either going to be easier or more difficult than the other side. And then we're going to come up and all the way down. So we're going to do this a few times, right? So coming up, take the palm of the hand up toward the ceiling, right? And then bring the palm toward your face. Good. Piece of cake, you guys. How about 2 more? Are you warming up a little bit? Good. Should I open the doors yet? Tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow. That's a grand idea. Okay. Next time your arm is out to the side in that strong arm position, we're going to hold here. Make your little thumb and forefinger, right? Palm comes up toward the ceiling, bend the elbow. Let's see, can we get that little spyglass up to the eye? Easier or harder? It's generally going to be harder, yeah. So for some people, harder. For some people, easier. How about 2 more of those? Can we do 2 more of those little spyglass things? Got it. Look at that. And last one. Good. I see some smiles and some grimaces, so it's really interesting how that goes, right? Okay. All right, shake that out a little bit. Let your arms hang down by your sides. Close your eyes for just a second, and hopefully the arms are the same length again. All right. So quick question. Who found it profoundly easier on one side than the other? Yeah, pretty amazing, right? So let's do something even more fun. Let's take both arms out to the sides. Make your spyglass. So we're going to go from a spyglass to binoculars. Can you come up overhead, bend your elbows? Yay, look at you all. I can see so much better like this. That's awesome. All right, release all of that. Let's roll those shoulders a few times. All right, we got that upper body. We got the arms and the hands and the fingers all kind of working pretty well here. Let's do some work for the shoulders. So bring the arms forward and bring your palms together and reach forward so you're rounding your back, right? So it's like you're trying to pull your shoulder blades off your back. And then we're going to turn the palms away and we're going to come back and squeeze the shoulder blades together, right? So we're going to come forward, bring the palms together, and really round through that upper back. Beautiful job. And then we're going to lift up, turn the palms away, and squeeze the shoulder blades together, coming into a nice arch in the back. Now, if your shoulders are coming up to your ears when you're doing this, you're going to bring your arms a little lower. Yeah, that's it. Yep. That just means your arms are a little too high. And some of that has to do with the way that your upper arm bone rotates in the shoulder joint. Okay, so the upper arm bone, anybody want to hazard a guess what that's called? This one? Humerus, yes, the humerus. So the humerus, the way that our bones are arranged in our body are pretty unique for each of us. So we have this idea that the humerus is set to kind of move a certain way, but sometimes we have some limitation in how the bones form. Couple more. Good, so really round through that upper back. Good, and then squeeze. How about one more set? Going forward and going back. Great. Let your arms come down. Close your eyes for a moment. Just notice if it feels like you just swam 20 laps. Yes. So we got those shoulders going. So you can let your eyes open. So when we talk about the shoulder, oftentimes people will say, oh, my shoulder. And then some people will say, oh, my shoulder. Right? Both are right. Because this is the whole shoulder, right? You've got the shoulder blade on the back of the body. You've got the humerus, the upper arm bone, that comes into the bones out here. This is your clavicle out here. So they kind of all come together and form the shoulder girdle. Now your what's that? Rotator cuff. So your rotator cuff is actually, it's the tendons of the muscles that support your shoulder. So when people say rotator cuff, right? That's like a we think of it sometimes as a joint, but it's not. It's actually a formation of those tendons in the shoulder. So when somebody has a rotator cuff tear, some people know that they've had a rotator cuff tear or they've got some injury to the rotator cuff. That just means that the little tendons right here have a little compromise in them. And that can happen easily because the top of the arm bone comes here, and then you've got the collarbone, the clavicle out here. So between the arm bone and the clavicle, you have a very small amount of space, and that's where those tendons go. So sometimes if we reach for something too quick, or we move in the wrong way, or in a way that compromises that a little bit, we can get an injury to the rotator cuff. I know you didn't ask that question, but see, all you have to do is say a word, and I'm just like off, right? Okay. All right. So we're working on the shoulder. Right, we're working on the shoulder. So let's do a little bit more work for the shoulder. Take your right arm across your body, pull the arm across your body, turn your head and look out over your right shoulder, and do a little yes movement with your head. So lift the chin and lower the chin. Breathing in, breathing out, right? Nice, smooth, easy breaths. And then bring your head back to center. We're going to take that arm, release it, bring it around behind your back. When it's behind your back, grab hold of your hand back there. If you can grab your wrist, that's great. Try not to twist your body in order to get that hand. So try to let your arm rest on the kind of the little curve in your low back. I wish I had Daryl here today. So the low back, your lumbar spine curves forward a little bit like that, right? So I'm really exaggerating it, but that's just a nice little place to rest your arm. So kind of holding there. Breathing in, breathing out. Bring your left ear to your left shoulder and turn your nose down and up like you're saying no. So a little no movement. Good. Breathing in, breathing out. Excellent. And then head comes back to center. We're going to release that arm, sweep it back around to the front. Now take your left arm over to the right. Pull it across your body. Turn and look out over your left shoulder. We're going to lift and lower the chin. Breathing in, breathing out. Good. So yes, when we turn to the left, and then turn your head back to center, release that arm, bring it around behind your back, take hold of your hand back there or your wrist or whatever you can. See if you can just sit up nice and straight, relaxing your shoulders and your neck. Pull that arm over to the right, and now drop your right ear to your right shoulder. And with the ear on the shoulder, we're just going to rotate the nose down and up. Once again, doing a no movement, right? So a little no movement. Breathe in, breathe out. Oh, isn't that an interesting question? Yeah, right? broken glass in there. So bring your head back up to center. Let's release that arm. Let's roll the shoulders forward, up, back, and down. Yeah, who has some cracking in there? Yeah, so that just kind of means you're over 35. So part of that is just, part of that is tightness in the little tendons in there. Part of that is just like little stuff that gets, what do I want to say? Anytime you have some noise without any pain, it's generally okay because tissues change texture over time. And as we get older, when we're really young, our tissues are really fluidy, right? So like a baby, you see a baby and grab their toe and stick it in their mouth. And if you did that now, you'd break something. Right? Yeah, because we harden over time. And our necks are no different. We get certain tissues in there that get a little bit harder. Again, if you're over the age of 35 or 40, you've got some arthritis in there. Does that mean anything? No, not generally. That's just how our bodies are. We start to harden over time. So sometimes it's more crackly than others, right? So sometimes for people when it's cold out, they get more crackly. Sometimes for people when it's warm out, they get more crackly. So I know that didn't answer your question entirely, but yeah, you're in good company. I guess that's the most important thing. Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit and we'll move down to the feet. So look down at those feet. Now if they're in socks, you're just going to have a little more opportunity to do some strengthening, unless of course you have on cool toe socks, which means you're going to have a lot more mobility in your toes this morning. Okay, so lift up your toes, but keep the balls of your feet on the floor. So for those who don't know, the balls of your feet are right here, right? So this is where your metatarsals kind of come into your tarsal bones. That's just a fancy way of saying your toe bones. So we're lifting up the toes, spread them out nice and wide. Now, again, if you're in socks, you're spreading into the resistance of your socks, right? Can you feel that? Can you feel that in your big toe and your little toe? So you're doing a little strengthening there. If you're barefoot or in toe socks, look down and see if you can see some space between your toes. And notice if one foot has more space than the other between the toes. Okay, so let's see if we can take all the toes and lay them down one at a time. So starting with your big toes, put your big toes down on the floor, and then see if you can get the second toe down. Oh, Lordy. Right? It's all connected, right? It's connected to your hands, right? It is. What's with that? All right, let's see if we can raise the toes. We'll go in the opposite direction. So raise your big toes, just the big toes. Not doing this, guys, right? Don't raise your toes with your knees. Keep your knees straight. So raise your big toes. And now lift all the other toes one at a time. Crazy, right? Okay, relax your feet. Take a breath, because I know everybody was holding their breath. Okay, now put your hands on your lap. Raise your thumbs. And now one at a time, raise your fingers. Place your thumbs down. And then one at a time, lower your fingers. You got that? Okay. Tell your feet to do what your hands did. Right? Same thing. So try doing your hands and your feet at the same time. Thumbs and big toes. Because they're kind of the same. And now raise your first finger and your first toe. Your first meaning next to the great toe. And then your next finger and your next toe. And your next finger and your next toe. And your next finger and your next toe. Yeah? No. Better. Lower your thumbs and your big toes. So everybody's lifted. Everything's lifted, right? And then we go to lowering. And then the next toe and finger. And the next toe and finger. And the next toe and finger. And the last. Okay. Take a breath. Yeah, because that was a real breath holder. So did you find it any easier to do it using your hands as an instruction aid? No. Raising but not lowering. Yeah, didn't have much effect. However, were you more aware of your toes? Yes, right? That's the connection. So I know we do this toe stuff all the time. I cannot tell you how important it is to do this every day, to get the toes lifting and moving independently. It's going to help with your balance. It's going to help with your strength. It might help with your knee, your hip, or your back issues, because everything happens, every contact we have with the ground, hopefully, is with the feet, right? We don't want to have contact with any other body parts in the ground. So healthy contact with the ground begins with your feet. So if we can create more awareness of the toes, and the hands are a great way to help create that awareness. So let's try that again. Have your hands on your lap, spread your toes out, and place them down on the floor. So now what I'm going to ask you to do is just give a really gentle squeeze to your thighs with your hands. So not gripping, but just kind of press your fingers and your thumbs down into your thighs. Can you feel that? Yeah. So relax your jaw, your neck, your shoulders. This is all you got great muscles in your hands. So let your hands do the work here. So we're just pressing down. And relax and breathe. Press your fingers down into your lap and relax. Okay, so now the next time we do this, press your fingers into your lap, and at the same time, press your toes into the floor the same way your fingers are pressing into your legs. And breathe. And notice what you feel. And relax everything. And again, press your fingers down, press your toes down. And relax everything. And one more time, press the fingers and the toes down. And relax everything. Okay, so now taking that awareness of how your fingers and your toes are kind of mirrors of each other, I'm going to have you lift all your fingers and all your toes. Breathing in, breathing out. Feel the connection, even mentally. And you can close your eyes to do this. Sometimes that's helpful. Sometimes just looking down at the ground is helpful. See if you can press your thumbs and your big toes down simultaneously. So it's just the thumbs and the big toes. All the other fingers and toes are lifted. And then lift the thumbs and the big toes. And then again, press the thumbs and the big toes down and lift. And press and lift. Good. And the next time you press the thumbs and the big toes down, hold that there. And then we're going to take all the fingers and all the toes one at a time and press them down. So your first finger, second finger, third finger, fourth finger, and that corresponds to your toes. And then lift the big toes and the thumbs, lift the next fingers and toes, one at a time till we get all the fingers and all the toes lifted. And one more time we're going to press the thumbs and the big toes down. And then one at a time the toes and the fingers. Good. And then relax everything. Close your eyes, breathe in and out, and notice the connection, at least that mental connection between your fingers and your toes. And let your eyes open. How was that the second time around? Easier. Yeah. Yeah. And even if your toes don't actually go down one at a time, there's a sense of independence that we're creating mentally and neurologically. More importantly, we're creating a different neurological experience in the feet. Because your feet, most of us, are in shoes all day, right? So they're encouraged to move. The toes are encouraged to move as one unit. It's not often that we get the toes out and start encouraging them to move kind of independently. So let's take the right leg extended out, heel on the floor, and we're going to squeeze and extend the toes. So now we're squeezing and extending toes all together. Now when you extend, right, remember what we did with the hands, right? Extending and then making a fist, right? Yeah. Okay. How's that going with the foot? Pretty good? All right. Let's do foot. So same, extend. We're going to squeeze and extend. Yeah. Okay. Let's go back to the right foot. So extend. Good. So extending the toes, right? And take your right hand. So extending. All right. Now, instead of going right into scrunching the toes, we're going to go to a bear claw. Can you make a bear claw with your foot? And now go to a fist and scrunch the toes. Good. Extend the toes, extend the hand. Go to a bear claw with the hand and the toes. Can you feel that? Not so much, right? And then squeeze a little more. So this is subtle. Now notice if you're breathing. So we're just doing the extension, the starfish, the bear claw, and then the fist, right? We're doing the same thing with the foot. Everybody is focused. This is great. Okay, we doing okay? All right. All right, let that all go, you guys. Let's go to the other side. Okay, spread the toes. We're going to use the hand. Hands are great for instruction, right? So we're going to use the hand. Just extend and squeeze. So forget the bear claw to start. Let's just see if we can get that neurological connection between the hand and the foot. The brain is saying, oh, my foot is a hand. It's my third hand, my fourth hand. Okay, so next time you extend, hold here. So we're in that starfish position. And then we're going to go to the bear claw with the hand, bear claw with the toes. And then fist with the hand and scrunch, scrunch, scrunch the toes. Good. Extend everything up. All right, bear claw, fist. Great job. And we're just going to cycle through this. Bear claw, fist. And your toes are following, right? So if you're not sure, look down at your toes. Give them a little visual encouragement, right? So the fist for the toes is like a half squeeze, right? So the toes are moving, but it's just the top parts of the toes. Good. You got like 19 bones from your midfoot out to your toes. That's a lot of bones. Considering there's 24 bones in your whole foot, that's most of the bones are in your toes. You knew that already, though. Okay, one more time. Good, and shake that out. All right, so have your feet on the floor, close your eyes for check in with your hands and your feet. Notice the quality of the contact between your fingers and your legs and the quality of the contact between your toes and the floor. Are you more aware of what it feels like to have your toes on the floor? And now some of your toes may not be on the floor. If you've got a toe that's crossed or you've got a hammer toe, you might not be able to feel the whole toe. You might have a little neuropathy in your feet. But see if you can get a sense that there's a connection between your toes and the floor. And then let your eyes gently open. Okay. More awareness in your feet? Yeah. So with more awareness, more sensitivity in your feet, it's going to be easier to maintain your balance when you're walking because you're going to be more aware of that connection between your foot and the ground. So let's circle the ankles a little bit. This is another place where we get kind of tripped up. Oh, that was kind of punny, but yeah. So we can get a little tripped up with the ankles because our ankles get tight, right? So notice, any crackling, crunching out there? Yeah, yeah. Difficulty in moving around, like when you circle, do you have like a flat spot on the circle where it doesn't exactly go around? Yeah, some people do. And then reverse direction. Now, if this is too much for your leg, you can have your heel on the floor and do this. You don't have to have your leg lifted the whole time. Breathing in, breathing out. It's all part of this as well, right? Okay, let's go the other side. So let's do the left, circling at the ankle, and you circle in whatever direction you like, right? I hear some nice music over there. That sounds like a little tendon snapping. Yeah. And then reverse direction. That means you're moving. That means you're moving. And that little ankle is going, yes, yes. All right, and then we're going to put that foot back down on the floor. Good, so we got the ankles warmed up a little bit. Let's warm up the knees. So your knees are a little less mobile than your ankle. They're more of a hinge joint. You know, they open and close like this, where your ankle is like your wrist. Isn't that funny? Your ankle is like your wrist. Your knee is like your elbow, right? So we're just going to bend and extend this leg. Now notice, I'm going to put my hands right here alongside my hips because you might notice what happens when you lift this leg. It might actually make your back want to do this, right? So if you have your hands here, that's kind of helpful. Breathing in, breathing out. Now, how slowly can you go? The next time you bring your leg in, can you hold here like you're trying to bring your heel to the bottom of the chair? Squeeze the muscles in the back of your leg. Really give them a squeeze. Now, for some people, this might feel like it's going to cramp a little bit. If that's the case, just back off slightly. Okay, and then we're going to slowly extend. And when you extend, so the knee is straight, we're going to really firm up the muscles here in the front part of the thigh, right? So squeeze, squeeze, squeeze those muscles, breathe in and out. If your leg gets too heavy to hold up, you can always lower it down. You can have your heel resting. That's okay. I'm just really mainly concerned with having the muscles here really strong in that thigh. So we're going to slowly bend, bring the heel underneath the chair, kick the bottom of your chair, right? And then slowly extend. I'm going to hold that leg out. One more time each way, right? So bend, kick the bottom of the chair like you can tap your heel right on the chair, and then slowly extend. Good. Okay, relax that leg, bring the foot to the floor. We're going to go right to the other side. So extend that left leg, bend the knee. So we're just going to cycle through a few times. Nice and slow. So again, the slower you go, the more you're using the strength of your muscles to make this movement. When you go quickly, you're actually working with momentum and the kinetic energy that's in your tissues. So you don't get as much benefit when you go quickly. Unless you're doing something cardiovascular, and then that's a whole different story. But for our purposes, this is more about strength building. Next time your heel is underneath, see if you can tap that heel to the bottom of the chair. So we're really squeezing those muscles in the back of the leg, right? And then slow, 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 we're going to extend that leg, really squeezing the muscles here in the thigh. Breathing in, breathing out. If this is too much at any time, you can lower the leg down. You can even have your heel on the floor. So if your back is starting to kind of give you some trouble, press down into your hands a little bit. So we're going to do this 2 more times each way. So very slowly, come in, squeeze those muscles. When you get that knee bent, really squeeze those muscles in the back of the leg. And then extend and really squeeze these muscles here in the front part of the thigh. Those are your quadriceps muscles. You all probably know that because I say that like a million times, right? Good. Yeah. How about one more just for good luck? You're welcome. Good. Oh, and then relax that and lower it down. Whew. Take a moment. Notice what your legs feel like. Give a little massage there. Those thighs are working, right? Backs of the legs too. Don't forget the hamstrings. So you all know that? So the front of your upper leg is called, these are called your quadriceps muscles. There are 4 of them. And then in the back of your upper leg are your hamstring muscles. There are 3 of those, right? So your hamstring muscles get tight from a lot of sitting. So if you get up and, you have a hard time straightening up, it might not necessarily be your back. It could be your hamstrings are a little bit tight. All right, so to lengthen those hamstrings, we're going to take the right leg out, heel on the floor, right? Press out through your heel and see if you can bring your toes toward your knee, right? So your heel is resting on the floor or on a block. If you're on a block, that's great. So you're going to take your hands to your left thigh. Now your left ankle should be directly underneath your left knee. Okay, so what we're going to do here is keeping the spine nice and tall. We're going to just hinge forward from the hips like you're trying to bring your belly down onto your left thigh. And you should feel a stretch in the back of the right leg. Is that a fair? Yeah, okay, good. And then come back up. Okay, and we're going to do this a few more times. So we're just coming forward. So keeping the back nice and long, so it's not nose to knee, right? So we're not rounding through the upper back. We're actually keeping the upper back nice and tall as we hinge forward from the hips. Now, some people are going to get really far forward, and some people are going to go like, a couple inches and say, wow, that's as far as I'm going to go. So the next time that you get to your max, whatever feels like a comfortable place, so I'll describe comfortable. Your hamstrings are screaming, right? But you're able to breathe. Yeah, your hamstrings are saying, what the heck is that? But your breath is saying, hey, it's okay. We're not doing anything crazy here. Everything is good. Now, I'm talking all about the hamstrings, and some of you are out there going, I don't feel this in my hamstrings. I feel it in my lower leg. I feel it in my foot. Well, good for you. That means those muscles are pretty tight down there, too. right? So this is a stretch for the whole back of the leg, down even into the foot. Especially the more you pull your toes toward your knee, the more you might feel that go into the lower leg. Now, if you're in a position where you can slide your right hand down your leg a little bit, maybe you can get to your knee, maybe you can get below the knee to the shin. Some of you may even be able to reach your toes. If you can't reach your toes, wave to them. They're down there. And know that at one point in your life, you likely could reach your toes. Yeah. So we're just kind of going in that direction. So as you're here, wherever you are, if your hand is on your knee, if your hand is on your shin, if you're grabbing your big toe, just notice what you feel in the back of the leg. Can you stay engaged and present with whatever that sensation is? Breathe. Good. And then really slowly come back up. Okay, keep that leg extended now. Don't let that leg stop doing what it's doing. Okay. Now, really slowly point your toes. So like you could get your toes on the floor. Some people are going to get the toes on the floor. Some people are not going to get the toes on the floor. Some of this has to, if you have shoes on, you won't get your toes toward the floor. If you have your shoes off and you still can't get your toes to the floor, that could be tightness in the muscles. But more likely, it's a tightness in the ankle or it's a structural situation in your ankle. Because again, we're all made a little differently. So some of us have hardscape in there, the bones, that are just not going to allow that movement to happen. So you're just pushing your toes down toward the ground. And we're going to do the same thing. So with both hands on that other thigh, we're going to come forward like you're trying to bring your belly down onto the thigh. And then come back up, right? So your foot, you're just pointing your toes. Nope, just pointing. Yep. Good. Forward and back. Good. And one more time, we're going to come forward and we're going to hold. So point your toes. Get that leg as long as you can, right? Good. So this is really about creating a little bit of mobility in that ankle. And then coming all the way up. Excellent. Bend that knee, bring your foot to the floor, both hands on your thighs, close your eyes for a moment, take a breath in and out, and notice any difference between your right leg and your left leg, your right hip and your left hip, your right foot and your left foot. And then let your eyes open. You notice a difference between your legs? Yeah, there's a difference there, right? Because again, we're creating a different experience than what we normally do. Because this is how we sit, unless you sit like this all the time, in which case it might feel normal. Okay, so left leg extended, toes reaching toward your knee, right? So we're pressing the heel down, and as you reach your toes toward your knee, you should feel these muscles here in your thigh and in the front of your lower leg really tighten up. And then both hands on your right thigh, keeping the spine tall, so we're not bringing the nose down to the knee. We're going to keep the spine tall and come forward like you're bringing your belly down onto your thigh, and then come back up. So this is just an investigative phase, right? So as I come forward, I'm trying to figure out, oh, how far forward can I go? And really get some good sensation before my body says, yeah, that's enough. I don't really want to go any farther than that. And I like to be conservative with these things. You won't hurt yourself if you're conservative and you investigate and you respect your body's limits, wherever that is. So the next time you come forward and you're in that place of sort of maximum range for yourself, you're just going to hold here and breathe. And think about the toes still reaching toward the knee. And notice where you're feeling this. So if you're feeling it in the back of the upper leg, that means you got a little tightness in your hamstring muscles. If you're feeling it kind of down around behind the knee and below the knee, that means you're a little tight in your calf muscles. Some people might be feeling it more into the foot. Now, if you really try and bring your toes toward your knee really strongly, you might feel that stretch shift a little bit. So you can take your left hand and maybe explore bringing the hand down that left leg. Maybe the knee is about as far as you want to go on this side. Maybe you want to get down to the shin. Maybe that works, or the ankle. Some of you might even be able to reach that toe, the big toe, or the other toes. Breathing in, breathing out. So it's not about how far you can reach forward. It's about where you can stay in the discomfort of this stretch and breathe. It's the intention of the movement forward. And just respecting that one side, one side maybe I can go a lot deeper, and the other side I can't. So we're kind of noticing that there's a difference there. We often think of our bodies as being perfectly symmetrical, but we only have one heart, right? One stomach, one spleen, one gallbladder, one liver. We got 2 lungs, 2 eyes, 2 arms, but a lot of our stuff is just single. Good, and then slowly come all the way up. Good, a little deeper stretch there. Excellent. Now we're going to point the toes of that foot. So see if you can get the toes as close to the floor as you can, right? So again, this is going to be different for each of us, depending on your anatomy, depending on how tight you are, if you have shoes on, and big surprise, it might be different in your own body, right to left. So you might have more flexibility in one side than the other. So same thing, we're going to come forward and really pointing the toes, right? You can even scoot them out a little bit. Take your left hand down that left leg. See how far you can go here, right? You might investigate it going forward and then coming up a little bit, and then going forward again and coming up. Just kind of testing it out. Good. And then kind of hang out there for a couple of breaths. So get as far forward as is comfortable for you without rounding your back. So you want to keep the spine up nice and tall, right? So it's lengthened. So the way you can tell is if you feel a stretch in your upper back, you're rounding. If you feel like engagement in those muscles, then you're in the correct position. Oh, and if you're breathing, that's kind of important too. All right, and then slowly come all the way up. Whew. Excellent. Bend that knee. Place the foot on the floor. Let your hands rest on your lap. Close your eyes. Take a couple of breaths in and out. Notice the quality of the contact between your feet and the floor. Where do you feel contact? And more importantly, where do you feel space? Are you able to feel space between the bottom of your toes, not the little pads at the end, but the little joints between the toe pads and the balls of your feet? Can you feel a little space there? Can you feel a little space in where your inner arch is, right along that inner line of your foot from the ball of your big toe to your heel? And even if you have flat feet or you have fallen arches, see if you can feel or sense that there's a different contact there, because there isn't a bone there. On the outer part of your foot, where it's in contact with the floor from your little toe to your heel, there's a bone that runs. There's several bones actually that run along there. But in your arch, that bone does not touch the floor, not in the same way. And notice the quality of the contact with your hands in your lap or your legs. Can you feel all your fingers in the palms of your hands? And likewise, can you feel a little more contact in the outer parts of your hands, so where your little fingers come into your wrist, as opposed to the inner part of your hands, so where your pointer finger or your first finger comes down and joins your thumb. So the bones there, they don't have that same quality of contact. It's, again, just like your foot. The outer edges, the bones are flatter to the surface that you're touching. And on that inner surface, the bones don't generally make contact in the same way with the floor. Breathing in, breathing out, noticing this connection between your hands and feet. Noticing where you are in space right now. Where are your shoulders? Are they up around your ears? Can you relax them down? Can you relax your neck and your jaw? Let your breath move in and out of your body and feel the movement in your body as you breathe. Where do you expand and where do you contract? When do you expand and contract? And notice in general what it feels like to be in your body right now. We've moved, we've stretched, we've created different awareness. And that all has impact in how you inhabit your body. And take in a deep breath and let it out with a sigh. Take your hands together. Take a moment in gratitude to yourself for this amazing body that you get to navigate life in, for your breath, and for the opportunity to be here in community. And then if you'd like, you can open your eyes and just kind of acknowledge this wonderful community here. Wow, big crew today. Yeah. Right. All right, everybody, stay warm. Stay warm, and I'll see you all next week.